Welcome to the Vue Diagram tutorial. In this video, I will show you how to add and customize a symbol palette in the Syncfusion Vue Diagram component. Look at this example. You will see the symbol palette is rendered to the left side of the diagram. It contains nodes and connectors you can drag and drop into the diagram component to create diagrams. I'm going to use an existing Vue application in which I have added the Syncfusion Vue Diagram with height and width properties. I have imported the diagram component module from the Syncfusion EJ2 Vue Diagrams package. The required styles were added for a better appearance. Follow the link provided in the above YouTube card or the description below to learn the basics of adding the Syncfusion Diagram component to a Vue app. Now I will run this example using the command npm run dev. The diagram canvas renders with the defined height and width. Next, I will show you how to add the symbol palette. First, import the symbol palette component module from the Syncfusion EJ2 Vue Diagrams package. In the components collection, define the symbol palette component with a tag name. This way, you can use this tag and create the symbol palette component within the template. In the division element, add another division element for better alignment and add the EJS symbol palette tag. Bind the width and height properties for the symbol palette component with properties. In the data function, define the palette width and palette height properties with values. Open the application style.css file and block the style for the app ID to prevent it from overriding my size settings in the symbol palette component. Save the file. You can see an empty symbol palette renders without any node or connector symbols, along with the diagram component. So let's add node and connector symbols. The symbol palette component can be added with the built-in node symbols like basic, flow, UML, BPMN, and connector symbols. Also, you can add node symbols with shapes that are created using HTML, SVG, text, image, and path data. Now I will show you how to bind the flow shapes, basic shapes, and connectors to the symbol palette. In the symbol palette component, bind the palette's property with a value. In the data function, define the palette's property with a collection of objects. In the object, define the ID property with value flow. Define a title property and set the value to flow shapes. The title property will be shown as a common heading for all the shapes defined in it. Define the symbols property and assign a variable to it. I define this flow shapes variable as a collection of node objects. Define the ID property, shape with its type, and the node's shape. To make this palette simple, I added only 4 flow shape nodes. To render the palette headers with styles, in the style tag, import the EJ2 navigations and EJ2 base style sheets. Save the file. Now you can see the symbol palette has the added node symbols. Notice though that the symbols are not properly sized. To set a size for the symbols, define the symbol height and width properties and assign them values. In the data function, define the symbol height and width properties with appropriate values. In the symbol palette, you can see the symbols are rendered with the defined size. Next, I will show you how to add some more symbols, like basic shapes and connectors, to the symbol palette. In the palettes collection, add an object similar to the flow shapes and set the ID as basic and the title as basic shapes. For the symbols property, assign a variable named basic shapes. Within the script tag, define a basic shapes variable with a collection of node objects. I have added the objects with the properties ID and shape. In the symbol palette, you can see the basic shapes. Let's add the connectors to the symbol palette. In the palettes collection, add an object with properties similar to the other shape types. In the script tag, define the connector symbols variable with a collection of objects. Add a directional connector. Define the ID property to set unique ID for the connector. Add a type property and set the value to straight. You can also use types such as orthogonal and Bezier as needed. Define a source point as the beginning point for the connector. Define a target point as the end point for the connector. Add the target decorator property and set the shape to arrow. Similarly, add a line connector where the type is set to straight and the target decorator shape is set to none. Add an elbow connector of type orthogonal with an arrow decorator and an elbow connector without any decorator. Save the file. In the symbol palette, you can see the added 4 connector symbols. Next, draw a simple flowchart diagram to add 2 numbers. Drag and drop the necessary shapes and add content for the nodes. Then, connect the nodes using connectors in the palette. Notice here the flowchart explains the flow to add 2 numbers. Look at the palettes panel. By default, it is expanded to show the symbols. If I wanted the panel collapsed initially, then in the palettes collection for the basic shape object, I add the expanded property and set the value to false. You can see the basic shapes panel in the symbol palette is now collapsed initially. When I click the arrow icon, it expands the panel. By default, you can expand and collapse the palettes panel like this. To restrict the collapse action for the flow shapes, in the symbol palette, define the palette expanding property with a value. In the data function, define the palette expanding property with a function that receives an argument. Within the function, add an if condition to check whether the palette ID is flow. Use the argument's cancel property and set the value true. Now, when I click the arrow icon, it is not possible to collapse the panel. Next, I will show you how to search for a symbol. In the symbol palette, define the enable search property and set its value to true. To render the search box with styles, in the style tag, import the EJ2Input style sheet. See, the symbol palette is now showing a search box at the top. I type a shape name, the relevant shape is displayed. By default, the symbol preview is in a default preview size like this. To customize it, in the symbol palette, define the symbol preview property with a value. In the data function, define the symbol preview property and set the property's height, width, and offset with appropriate values. Take a look at the diagram component now. While dragging the symbol over the symbol palette, the define preview size is shown. Once the symbol is dragged into the diagram canvas, the symbol's default size or the default path size is used to render it. In this video, we saw how to add the symbol palette to diagram component with symbols and customize its symbol size and preview size. If you would like to see the working example of this, you can download it from the GitHub link shared in the description below. I have also included a link in the description where you can check if you qualify for our community license, giving you a free license key for our entire Vue suite. If you found this video useful, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.